Fingerprints don't lie. That's what they teach you in forensic training. But one night, a dead man's fingerprint matched a living woman. And I still don't understand how. I was a morgue technician in Houston, 2013. We had a John Doe, Hispanic male, early 30s, found in a storage unit. He'd been dead about 2 weeks. Decomposition was advanced, but his hands were intact. We took prints as part of the identification process. Standard procedure. I rolled his fingers one by one onto the card. Then I scanned them into AFIS, the Automated Fingerprint Identification System. The match came back in under a minute. I almost dropped my coffee. The system flagged a positive match, 16 points of similarity, to a living person. Maria Elena Vasquez, age 34, address in San Antonio. She had been fingerprinted 3 years earlier for a background check. I stared at the screen. The print was from John Doe's right index finger. It matched Maria's right index finger perfectly. I called my supervisor. He laughed. "System glitch," he said. "Run it again." I ran it again. Same result. I ran it a third time. Same. I printed the report and walked it to the chief medical examiner. The chief made me take new prints from John Doe. I did. Same result. Then he called the San Antonio police and asked them to bring Maria Vasquez in for reprinting. She agreed. She was very much alive, worked at a daycare, had 2 kids, no criminal record. Her prints were taken again. They matched John Doe's. Not similar. Identical. The FBI was notified. They ran a deeper analysis. No evidence of forgery or tampering. No record of Maria having a twin. DNA testing was ordered. The DNA came back 2 weeks later. John Doe and Maria Vasquez were not related. Not siblings, not cousins, not distant relatives. Their DNA was completely different. But their fingerprints, a supposedly unique biometric, were the same. The FBI classified it as a 1 in 2.7 billion anomaly. They never explained it. I asked the chief what happened to John Doe. He was buried as unidentified. I asked about Maria. She moved away a few months later. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. Before she left, she came to the morgue. She asked to see the body. I walked her to the cooler. She looked at John Doe's face for a long time. Then she whispered something. I didn't hear it clearly. But it sounded like, "Thank you for carrying it." She left. I never saw her again. Sometimes I wonder if she knew him. Or if he knew her. Or if fingerprints aren't as unique as we think, and that's more terrifying than any ghost. The morgue log book is sacred. Every body in, every body out. Date, time, signature. But 1 week, 3 bodies were logged as returned, after they'd already been buried. I managed the morgue at a large Chicago hospital from 2014 to 2018. My job was to track every decedent from arrival to pickup by the funeral home. We had a paper log book, red leather cover, over 200 pages, and a digital backup. Every night I reconciled both. In February 2016, I noticed something impossible. On February 3rd, a body was admitted, John Riley, 67, heart attack. Picked up by Smith & Sons Funeral Home on February 5th, signed out by driver Marcus T. I had the signature. On February 7th, a new entry appeared, in the same handwriting as the original admission, that said, returned, John Riley, February 7th, 3:15 a.m. No initials. No explanation. I called Smith & Sons. They confirmed John Riley was buried on February 6th, cemetery records showed the grave was undisturbed. I checked the cooler. No body. I checked the digital log. The returned entry wasn't there. Only in the paper log book. I thought maybe a prank. I erased the line with whiteout. On February 10th, it happened again. Different body. Mary Chen, 82, stroke. Picked up February 8th, buried February 9th. On February 10th, the paper log book showed, returned, Mary Chen, February 10th, 2:47 a.m. Again, no body. Again, no digital record. I checked security cameras from the morgue hallway. The footage from February 10th between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. showed nothing. No one entered. But the camera glitched 3 times, static, then black, then back to normal. Each glitch lasted exactly 7 seconds. On February 13th, a third return. James Whitfield, 44, accident. Buried February 11th. Logged as returned on February 13th at 4:22 a.m. This time, I didn't erase it. I called my director. He came down. We watched the security footage together. The glitches were there again, but this time, during the third glitch, we saw something. A shadow. Not a person. A shape that moved from the cooler door to the log book, then back. No face, no limbs. Just a dark patch that slid across the floor. The director took the log book. He said he'd handle it. I never saw the book again. The digital logs were wiped. I was transferred to the day shift. A year later, I ran into a former coworker. He told me the morgue had been closed for renovations. But he also told me something else. The hospital had been built on an old potter's field, a mass grave for unclaimed bodies from the 1918 flu pandemic. He showed me an old map. The morgue was directly on top of the mass burial site. I think about those 3 names, Riley, Chen, Whitfield. They weren't returned because they came back. I think they were returned because something tried to take them. And the log book was just keeping score. We record every autopsy. Audio only, for transcription. It's procedure. But one night, I reviewed a recording and heard something that made me delete the file and pretend it never existed. Build up, I was a forensic pathology resident in 2015. My attending, Dr. Hargrove, was a no-nonsense man who'd been doing autopsies for 30 years. He didn't believe in ghosts. Neither did I. Until the night we worked on a Jane Doe, a woman in her 20s, found in a drainage ditch. No visible trauma, no cause of death. Toxicology would take weeks. The autopsy was routine: scalpel, rib spreader, organ removal. We worked in silence mostly. The only sounds were the saw, the suction, and Dr. Hargrove dictating notes into a microphone hanging from the ceiling. At around 11 p.m., we finished. I cleaned up. Dr. Hargrove left. I stayed behind to log evidence. Before I left, I decided to listen to the recording, just to make sure it captured everything. I plugged headphones into the digital recorder and hit play. The first 20 minutes were normal. Scalpel clicks. Jar. Hargrove saying, "Why incision beginning at the sternum?" Then, at 22 minutes and 13 seconds, something changed. Over the sound of the rib saw, I heard a whisper. Not from Dr. Hargrove or me. A woman's voice, very faint, as if coming from across the room. I turned up the volume. The whisper said, "It hurts." I froze. I listened further. At 24 minutes, the whisper again, "Why are you doing this?" At 27 minutes, clearer, "I'm still here." Dr. Hargrove's dictation continued as if nothing was happening. He never reacted. The whispers went on for the entire autopsy, soft, pleading, sometimes crying. The last one, at 58 minutes, just as we were closing the chest, "Please put me back." I played it for Dr. Hargrove the next morning. He listened with a stone face. Then he deleted the file. "Equipment malfunction," he said. "Erase it. Don't tell anyone." I asked him if he'd heard the whispers during the autopsy. He looked at me. I heard nothing, he said. And neither did you. 2 weeks later, toxicology came back. Jane Doe had died of a drug overdose, but the levels were inconsistent. She should have been unconscious long before her heart stopped. The pathologist who reviewed the case noted something strange. Paramotor muscle contractions suggest possible awareness for several minutes after clinical death. I don't know if that's true. But I never listened to another autopsy recording. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder if they're all still talking. We just stopped listening.